Is this better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Awesome. So like I changed up some um, code on my PR too. If you wanted to take a look at that, I wanted to go over your PR as well and see like what do you say?
I said for sure. Where do you want to start? Mine or yours?
If we can, can we go through mine right quick and then go through yours? And let me start my. Oh, I'm sitting on my phone. That's not a good thing. Start our Pomodoro here. Okay. All right. Awesome. So can you share your screen?
Let's see. Google on air is different? No. This is camera. Can you point me in the direction of how I'm supposed to do this?
Oh, so you share your screen by there's like a little green arrow if you move your thing to the
left. Good?
Yep, perfect.
Awesome.
And the goal of this Pomodoro is to code review both our pull requests. So we actually to code review both our pull requests, so we actually can get them merged in.
All right.
All right.
All right.
It's perfect.
So, okay, cool. So this is yours. It's open.
Okay.
Let's see what people said here. This all makes no sense to me.
Well, hold on. What is this, and what is all, and what is sense in Katie's head?
Okay. Wondering if some artificial. All right. Well, XLB DOM just generate this movie.
Basically, what's happening is I'm using this builder, Jim.
Okay.
And builder is just it's really this simple. You have an object in Ruby, and you should know enough about Ruby now to know about method missing.
Okay.
And method missing is just that one last thing that calls that if you attempt to call a method on an object, method missing gets fired, and that's the error that goes. But however, if you monkey patch method missing, you can make cool things like active record, and that's how you can get you can define a class that inherits from active record base, and then when you try to call a method on it, it's going to go and look at the database attribute for that model.
It would kind of just auto map.
Automagically does it.
Yeah, cool.
Right. So Builder does that for XML documents. So it makes it real easy for if I call .katie and then pass it a block, it's going to make a Katie element.
All right. So it just populates those elements with those fields.
Exactly. So right. So you're looking right at that code. That's exactly the code that you're looking at. And what Philip was saying was, should that be more top level concerns? It will be, but for this pull request, it doesn't have to be.
Fair. All right. Cool.
Then how that helps Katie is in understanding how to get the intent across when you need to do a refactor for this pull request, or a refactor is necessary there but can be done in a later pull request.
Okay.
So you're currently looking at in that XML schema that I deleted, or the sample, there's 3-4 top level domains. There's a customer, there's an account, and then there's another. What do you say?
Can you Slack me that, because I don't think I have it.
Right. Of course you don't have it because you removed it, or you requested for me to remove it, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll Slack you that for sure. I'll do that right now, actually. No time like the present.
Okay. Awesome.
And so what that means then next, let me just go here, Censible API. I don't care about that. Not that. Censible. There we go. And where is there?
So that's actually some very simple and concise code for doing what you're doing.
Isn't it?
It is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the real truth of the real truth comes about when I heard this quote once that said that being a master artist isn't about how many strokes you can put on the canvas. It's about how many can you take away and the painting still feel complete.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. Cool.
So
I like this a lot. It's very clean.
Probably go through
a lot, but that's what Ruby is for.
Yes. Well, that's what. Well, we'll get to that when we get to your pull request. That's what sound object-oriented programming practices are for, which I noticed from today in Python. I grokked Python today, Katie. I'm so happy.
Really? Really? What was that moment that made that happen?
Staring at your work.
Really? Where? What part?
Your pull request.
But like, what part of it?
The when. Understanding context with because in Ruby you'd have to explicitly close files.
Okay.
And how collections work. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Sorry, I am looking at it. The with
hold on. Before you look at yours, let's go back to mine and we can put looks good to me.
Yeah, no, this actually does look good to me, except for these extra lines, Snugs.
What this extra line you talking about?
Because it has this 48 here.
Oh.
But there are like others that don't follow that same pattern. So I was just trying to
I didn't know what the hell you were talking about actually. Yeah,
because like here between like 42 and 43 you don't have a line, but between 43 and 44 you do. So it's like
that's exactly what you should be. Exactly what you should be calling me out on, Katie.
And then like here, like 27, 28 doesn't. So it's kind of like, well, which one are you trying to go for? Because I don't care either way as long as it's consistent.
You're right. You're right. So get status. Nice. I don't have any changes. Get checkout. Get branch.
I know it's minor, but you know.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Nice. Okay. So there is. Where is it?
34.
34?
I think so. Maybe it might have moved it, actually. That one might have actually moved it, and it's just visual.
I don't see it in mine anymore.
It might have been a Git thing.
Have you refreshed your page?
Yeah, but I think it was actually this one's a Git thing. My bad on 48.
Wait a minute, Professor. That if you
Git was totally messing with me. That's so not fair.
What?
Wait a minute. My bad. I apologize. I'm deleting this. Because here, look, it puts everything but the plus for the line on the next line. So it looked completely like it was another one.
So then go away from the split view. That'll probably. I think that line is just one character enough to make you go batty.
Yeah.
It's like exactly the number of characters it takes to move that to the next line to make you think there's a line.
Hold on. Yep. I apologize.
Awesome.
Cool.
So that's usually at least with my code, you're always going to want to go and look at the specs first, because then that tells you what is going on. When you said I have no idea what's going on.
No, it wasn't even about that. It was more about the jargon of the conversation about what IB needs kind of threw me.
Oh, are we actually testing the namespace too? That I throw that in.
Let me see. Yeah, I think I saw a namespace in there. Sets XML namespace. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
So the XML document is pretty large, and what I did, and this is a little my experience to you. I'm not giving you any recommendations, but my experience is there could be a huge ass XML document that you want to work on, or any idea. Say there's a huge elephant that you're trying to build. What I've done is I've gone to Pivotal and I've broken down. I have an XML application story, but it has tasks that are split up into customer information, account information, user information, and document information. And each one of those are pull requests in and of themselves. And you're looking at the account information one. And what that does is that, like, perception's reality, right, Katie? Like, that's the difference between me getting a PR across the wire every other day or every day or whatever it is, and a week or 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, no, it is.
So, take that to heart when you're working on your stuff, when you're trying to figure out how do I eat this elephant, one PR at a time.
One PR at a time. No, for sure. I mean, sometimes though, like, depending on the overall goal, it might make it easier to do a bigger one, but like also it just kind of like depends situation by situation.
Right, but just have a gut feeling though, but try to chop it down as much as you possibly can for it to actually make sense.
For sure, for sure.
So if you could write "it looks good to me" or something like that on it, that would be great.
Sure.
Oh, thank you. That's what's up, Katie. Okay, so on to yours.
Absolutely. Cool. I mean, mine definitely still needs a fair amount of work because it's still very baseline for where it's headed, but I think Phil wanted like a version up. So I was kind of just like going with like a baseline because like there was the goal of loading all of it, which would add some additional features of like directory traversal to grab the right directory, and then from there figure out whether or not it's like a single upload file or needs to piece together some. But for now, you kind of just have to specify the directory that you're going to look in, and it can only handle the single file.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah.
So then, if you can, first thing I'd like you to do is walk me through the changes that you've made over like the past few hours, because Philip and I did a code review of it maybe like a few hours ago, and we want to definitely, link up and make sure that that's okay.
For sure, for sure. Well, Phil wants me to take out this line right here.
Yep, for sure. That's a personal problem.
Really?
Yeah, it is, of course.
What get ignores for?
No, it's not, because you know what? I'm sitting here with it. I almost wrote application. I did write application.xml into my pull request, didn't I?
Yep.
I got to remove that. Or else I can't tell you anything about that line of code. Yeah, see, that's why it's good to talk about these things too, because like you sometimes you just don't know or forget. So I'm removing application. All
right, I'll do the same then.
Nice.
Then readme, and you get to watch me do these changes as I do them. Oh no, it's not the them readme. Oops. Oh wait, whoops.
All right, so I pushed that up. Cool.
Same here. Then okay, so I did a little bit of renaming, and then beyond that, some just kind of like reorganization a little bit. So it's definitely not in order, and a lot of this will be removed from this file, but I didn't want to mess with the refactoring process because I started this before we had determined a structure.
Yeah.
So everything is kind of condensed into this one file. So like through a separate branch, I'm absolutely going to refactor a lot of this out, and I have comments on top of those that I'm going to.
Okay. Here's one thing that I saw from, honestly speaking, one of the things that would be good to go over for at least this session is let's not go over implementation, but let's go over the domain and the API. So what I mean by domain is our nouns, and what I mean by API is our verbs that are attached to the noun.
Fair. So really the only way you're interacting with this is through this database initializer. I still don't like the name too much because it doesn't initialize the database. That's what like the table generation statements are for. But I think that I want to eventually kind of use this as a controller for all of it.
Well, what is this process actually doing? Because see, we got to be careful. Database initializer seems like a lot of the naming. I will say this: in your PR, the naming conventions are more implementation driven than they are feature driven. But this feature is low level enough that you can get away with it. You want to be too careful about, because like you're not talking about like user or T-shirt related
Right.
at a higher level. Like you're literally down at a lower level. You're like one abstraction layer above the database.
Yes, kind of.
You know, or actually
It's
two,
really just interacting with the database.
yeah, because what the first abstraction layer is Python itself,
Right.
and then there is your implementation on Python.
Okay.
So let's use this time to go through the names and the nouns and the verbs.
Okay, perfect. I'm into it. So
Let's start from the top. Let's start from the top down per se, perhaps, or you want to start from like the execution
right.
down.
So like where I am.
Okay.
Like where you call it from. So like the point now is that you would initialize this object, and then you would generate, and then database insert. So
looking at a file that has, let's be clear, looking at something that doesn't really have like a test suite wrapped around it, why would that? And the answer could be because I didn't think about it till later. But if that's the entry point, why would we not have that at the top of the file?
the stuff at the top is stuff I'm refactoring out. Does that make a difference?
Well, the first way to refactor it out is by replacing it with that thing, because then have that be like the first thing. Because like how to actually even run your script, I learned just now from you pointing at that class to whereas I assumed it would be the first file that would be run or the first class I would see.
So I don't know, from Python and from a lot of languages, I got into the habit of that code that you want to use needs to be on top of the code later on.
Well, that's I'm not against it. That's we just have to figure out what our like best practices are, patterns and practices.
For sure. But I mean, also I was thinking of it in the sense of, oh, well, normally this would be where I'd say import file processor. Let me write the class file processor.
Right. So walk me through the execution flow, if you don't mind.
For sure. So let's go to, where is it? Okay. Database initializer.
Right.
So it will find the file path of the file that it wants to read through the import finder for the first import, and then it will grab that import file. So up here, you have to specify the directory right here, which is not the best. That will later be changed, but for now it's necessary because I don't have the directory traversal.
Why is it? Well, that's okay. Don't worry about that. Why is it first import finder and not 30th import finder?
Because it's your first import of the database.
So what would the second import be?
Updates.
Oh, so then is that a totally different class?
Yeah, because of the structure that we built out later.
So why wouldn't that be importer and updater?
Because it wouldn't be doing any updating.
No, why wouldn't it be importer and the other thing be updater?
Could be import. I mean, it would have to be finder because it's not the importer. It's finding the import that it needs.
Oh, well, okay. So it's not importing anything at all. It's finding a file.
Yes.
I got it. So
this class will also be expanded so that it can traverse directories and such.
Yeah, I wouldn't even think about that just now. What you got is great there as far as like having it hard coded in there, because that's good enough for now. I'm just really cautious when you have like ordinal stuff in front of class names.
So I mean, I can change that to import finder. It's not a problem.
That sounds great. What I'd say is, see, here's the input that I'll give, and honestly, Katie, as long as we will work together, I'll always attempt to get on this path, and I know you're bold enough to push back when I'm clearly not doing what my brain thinks it's doing. I'll suggest I'll suggest where there could be a change to be, but I'll always give you the flexibility to like come up with a better name. But just know I am a stickler for naming things because
So
I know
I'm
for
terrible at naming things, so I appreciate it.
yeah, well, I'm a stickler for naming things, and it's very hard in computer science. And I'm just know that like you have someone who has a penchant for naming things.
Mhm.
But I have known, and I promise you, Katie, the better you get at naming things, the less code you will have to write. I promise you that. Like I'm talking about like by like 30% removal of code kind of numbers.
No, I believe it. I mean, in general, I try to code with like the goal in mind of actions that I have to do, and I try to keep methods like very tight on those actions, and then those methods to objects that are like kind of like group them together by like overall purpose.
Okay. It
That's just where, but like when it comes to naming things, it's not necessarily like my most accurate representation of it.
That's cool. That's what I mean. Well, that's why we pair.
Exactly.
So I guess what let's go for the top level nouns first before we get into the methods. Like give me the nouns. So there's first import, there's
Finder,
yeah,
right?
walk me through just the names of them, not necessarily, and you might just give like a sentence on what they do.
Okay, fair.
Let's walk through the names.
Okay, so first import finder will find the import file it needs. The file processor will take that data and or take that file and read it and do some light cleaning. Then from there, it grabs the table name from the file name, um, and then kind of builds a like like a structure for the SQL statements from the file processor content. So,
Mm-hmm.
like the file processor will be able to separate like what the column names are and what those values will be. Um, and also it starts the connection.
You're gonna want to if you go up back up, and I'll just give like little embellishments. Hold on, let me look at the code here. You're going to want to or not you're going to want to what I would do because I don't give advice at all. I just give experience. What I would do is I would let you see where it says return os.path.join on 77.
Yes.
Let's scroll up a little bit. I'm willing to bet the farm that you can totally remove 90% of the code out of grab import file.
Um,
Like, here, let me tell, and I'll tell you why here. Before your head kind of explodes a little. Imagine if import finder took. So what you're doing is like you're traversing a directory and looking for a list of all of these things that end in .txt.
but they have different versions also, so you have to order them and then
So you're natural sorting the files.
yeah, but then it ends up it's not the right order. Like the natural sort ends up doing uh like the regular version and then the numbers decreasing because like the original version doesn't have a number after it. So it considers it like before those others.
Right.
And so like it fixes the order when it has numbers and then it returns like the top level of that and joins the path to it. So you have the full path.
Well, there's the answer right there. Why does grab import file grab multiple files? It
It doesn't. It grabs the one.
only grabs one?
Yeah. Main data file equals ordered files dot pop.
I see. There's probably something a little lower. Well, I won't get into that implementation. That's the area where you can always refactor it because you have it fenced in inside of a box called grab import file, which is thumbs up there. That's why I'm always like I'm more critical about the names than I am the implementation because as long as you name it properly, you've created a nice sort of quarantine for the code that you're implementing, and that can always be refactored
Mm-hmm.
as long as it's not doing too many side effecty things.
Yeah.
So then the next one is database initializer, and the only method there is generate.
Mm-hmm. Hang on one second.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Better than first.
Right. And then we have database initializer, which that can change, but I do like generate for now. And then what other nouns do we have? Is that it?
DB insert, or well, that's a verb.
That's a verb. Gotcha. So,
So yeah, I mean,
well, the code's gotten smaller then. That's a good thing. That's always a good sign than your last iteration.
for sure, for sure.
What about those other methods down below?
What, these couple things? They're kind of like helpers. Starts the connection and cleans the quotes out.
Oh, right. That's another one. Oh, so I see what you did there because 119 used to say remove quotes.
Mm-hmm.
And you changed it to clean quotes. So you must have heard Philip and I talking.
Did I?
Well, meaning that in your head you preemptively knew the next thing to do, which is a great thing, Katie. Because it's always awesome when you have a team and both of these two people look at something or a person looks at something and says, "Oh, this can be made better," and then I got to remember to tell Katie about that. And the next thing Katie shows you is that thing, exactly the idea that you had. That's usually when there's great synergy amongst the team.
Awesome. No, for sure.
Well done there. Philip's going to be very happy. And that start connection right there, I would say call that open.
Is it?
Yeah, well, because you don't ever start a connection really. You open a connection.
All right.
Or at least from every programming language I've ever seen that has to deal with I/O, there's typically an open and a close. And what I learned from Katie's code today is that close actually happens implicitly just from using the with context.
Sometimes.
I see. I didn't know that.
I mean, for files, yeah. And you can use it for like a lot of different contexts, actually.
I'm sure for anything IO bound, right? So files, string buffers, all of that stuff.
Not even just that. It's like earlier for this try exception,
Yeah.
I had like an as something or as e, and then I could use the exception in there, even though like normally you can't.
Oh, and on line 96, you changed over into using the format method, which you taught me about in Python as well.
Did I?
Yeah, well, because it was being like concatenated with plus signs and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I meant like, did I do that or did Phil do that? Because he's the one who not insisted, but recommended.
You definitely did that because the pull request, I don't know if I'm not looking at the same pull request, but the one I'm looking at now is maybe, do you have another pull request that's out there?
What with format in it?
Yeah, it doesn't seem, I think this is the same one. Yeah, this is definitely the same one. So you've done a lot of work on this pull request. At least it's the last iteration I saw in the past day.
Oh, for sure. I have.
So then line 96 is beautiful.
Well, thank you. Phil is recommending something about a table thing, but I don't necessarily think that that's a good idea because then it would require inserting the statement at the same time as generating it.
And
I think that
okay, what were you saying?
And I think that that it would end up being slower. And then like there might be a situation where we might need to generate different kinds of SQL statements. So I want to kind of leave it open in the meantime.
That's good.
Yeah.
So so that actually is our Pomodoro, Katie. How do you feel about that one? So what did we learn?
We learned that I suck at naming things.
Yeah, but then that's a negative side of things. And what's the positive side of that?
The positive side of things is that I'll be learning how to name things better through your guide.
Well, because we pair on it, and it's that's we have to learn how to leverage the things that each other is good at.
Exactly.
You're good at a lot of things, and I'm good at naming things for sure. So there you have it.
I really need a better name for this.
Yeah.
I really do. Because I don't like it. Because like I said, it doesn't initialize it. It kind of just gives the first load. It's like,
why can't you call it loader?
I hate that. Also,
Yeah, well, it's better than database initializer, I believe.
What about like initial load or um like I don't know. It also does the work of generating the statements.
Then that immediately should tell you right there that it's doing more than one thing, or else it should be like sort of a main entry point class, which typically,
That's what I was more so going for with it.
well, then that typically has a domain that has a name that's better, more suited to the real world as far as what it's doing.
Which is kind of why I chose database initializer.
Well, that's not the real world. That's the uncanny valley. The real world is why the heck are you doing all of this work anyway?
Build data like it's not just this. Like I feel like if I want to call it database initializer, I also have to use the stuff to like generate the SQL statements that make the tables.
That's perfectly fine, but why are you generating all that work in the first place? Like, what is it all being done for?
To install it, it's part of that that class that we hadn't named yet in the structure.
Okay, so then to install it, but why do you need the data?
For vinegar,
For
like
what?
not like for the app itself, like for many different reasons.
Okay, so what is the data that's being loaded?
Financial data, mostly.
Why? So why can't it be? And is this particular to? Is this particular to a specific custodian? Like, is it only FactSet or something like that?
Pretty much.
So why can't it be FactSet financial loader?
Finance or FactSet. I prefer FactSet over finance because I think it has more than just.
Why don't you call it FactSet loader?
FactSet loader.
Yep. Like I can't express it enough, homegirl. Like the biggest thing that Tom ever taught me is call a thing a thing.
Okay, I can buy it.
All right.
I can buy it.
And that's our Pomodoro, homie. I'm about to bounce out because Noel is telling me right now that we're late for our meetup we're about to go to.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, we're about to toss off to a meetup, but I wanted to get a Pomodoro in with you before I bounce to the meetup, and I should be available after that.
Awesome.
But I think this is good enough for you to at least change up a couple of things over the next, whatever between now and the next time we stare at it.
I mean, I'll have those few naming things up in the next like 5 minutes if you.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'll
change those few names and we're good, so I can merge it after that.
Yeah. Well, we'll Philip and I will both take a look at it, but it looks good to me now. Like at least then you can be in a state where, as long as things are named properly, it's a little bit easier to let the implementation fly. Because at least it's in a box called a method or a function.
For sure.
Yeah, and then that way you're not like coupling things together too, and that's always a great thing.
True.
Sound good?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Well, talk to you later. I'll give you a holler while I'm there.
For sure. Have fun at the meetup.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.